So, apart from the usually reported problems such as sexual harassment, having to deal with nasty characters at times, overload of family responsibilities, or the so called Maryada which they carry, what, according to you, are lesser known, lesser discussed issues faced by working girls in core engineering areas?
Now, I'll be talking about issues which are specifically faced by girls who come in the core technology sector. Now, the root cause is that traditionally there have been very few girls who are going to core engineering and technology. Even those who take admission in colleges, eventually they migrate elsewhere, and actually very few of them go into manufacturing sector, for example, where heavy engineering is there. In electronics they may be going, in some sectors they may be going also in manufacturing, but in heavy engineering particularly, or in engineering sector, we see very few of the ladies coming to shop floor kind of functions, coming to core technology functions. They may be there in some offices, etc., but there are very few of them who are found in shop floor, for example. So, the problems that we are talking are pertaining to primarily that segment. I am not saying that the other problems which you mentioned are not there. They are certainly there, may be there, but then our focus is not that today in this discussion. So, we are restricting our scope to only the problems which are, and these are not even considered as problems. These happen so routinely that people, the girls as well as people around them, have got used to them. And it's not only the girls who face the problem, the problems are equally faced by their selectors, their bosses, their peers, and so on. So, there are many aspects of these problems, and they are too subtle to be reported actually. Now, the root cause of all these problems is basically that we have very few girls coming to this segment traditionally. Now, because of this, one thing which happens is that they get undue attention. So, they have to undergo lot of undue scrutiny, right from their attire to their mannerisms to their behavior pattern to what they do or what they don't do. Okay. All kind of things are being observed by many with a magnifying glass. And it's not just about the girls who are being monitored. Those who are seen interacting with these girls closely are also under scrutiny. So, this is what leads to some kind of difficult or embarrassing situations for those girls as well as for others. So, we are primarily discussing on such issues in this particular talk. The problem which is an embarrassment, more than problems I will say it is embarrassment. The embarrassments faced by the girls who go in these functions of shop floor related, where there are very few ladies, is of course many people tender unsolicited help, thinking that they are weaker sex and they require help all the time. But even that excessive gesture of helping might become painful and embarrassment for those girls themselves. Okay. So, unsolicited help, unsolicited assistance, unsolicited guidance being showered on them, instructions, comments. Now, all these things might be disturbing their peace of mind, I am sure. Even while allocating work, people try to give them lighter work. They try to avoid giving them heavy physical work. Okay. So, the assignments which are generally given to them are relatively lighter. Okay. Now, after a while, people start commenting that there is a favoritism and undue favors are being showered on them, etc. So, then that becomes a issue. Okay. First of all, people show lot of undue consideration, lot of undue sympathy, lot of undue care, and then they themselves start commenting on the other side that yes, too much of attention is being given to them, they are getting undue favors and so on, right. So, that is another problem. And if they do well, if they get promoted, I mean soon, out may not be out of turn exactly, but if they get promoted earlier, people start speculating that probably this has happened because they being girls. Okay, so something must be there. Now those kind of aspersions are being cast. Now people may not do it in front of them, but they can certainly feel it from their behavior pattern of peers and people around them. Because even when they are congratulating them for their promotion, they have a weird smile on their face, suggesting something. So now girls develop some sensitivity towards these things, and I mean they are able to make out. I mean, thanks to their clairvoyance which they have, I mean they can make out without actually being talked about it. They can make out that something is going on behind their back. Now these kind of problems may become a big embarrassment and may even cause some psychological pressure on them, and it does alter their behavior pattern even in normal course. Other thing is, whatever they do, they will get criticized and they will draw some comments. If they dress well, that will be criticized. If they dress frugally, that will be criticized. If they are very sweet talkers, then they will be criticized. If they are talking a lot, then they will be criticized. If they are talking less, then also they will be criticized. So under all circumstances, people find some way of, I mean, basically observing them with magnifying glass and commenting something. And that doesn't happen with their male colleagues because there are so many of them, nobody has time to pay attention towards them. But then girls do attract attention, and that's the root cause of problem. So all these are the problems, and sometimes what happens that even their peers, the people around, people who are dealing with them, may really not be rogues. They may be in fact very sympathetic. They may be chivalrous. They may go out of the way to help. They may be very considerate and thorough gentlemen. Still, girls find some problems because too much of sweetness is again not healthy sign. If people, because ultimately what is compared is how people are dealing with others versus how people are dealing with them, and the difference is clearly seen. Okay, the language in which others are spoken to and the language in which they are spoken, I mean, the difference is there for anybody to see. So the problem starts right there. So this is a problem. Another thing is about ladies. Many times it is not very clear what they would like, what they may not like. I mean, others assume that what they are doing will be liked, but it may become an irritant for that girl. I mean, I can give some personal example where I have tried to be nice and I have faced some problem. Like I have been to some hotels abroad, of course. So normally in Indian culture, we are used to lifting our own baggage. I mean, we don't allow generally ladies to carry heavy baggage. I mean, that's our culture. So couple of places I have tried to do that just as a reflex, not consciously. But then I thought that it's not right for me to expect those girls to carry their luggage to the room. So I lifted my luggage. And on 2 occasions, those ladies have rebuked me. They have said, "Sir, this is our job. You are implying that we are incapable of our job." So, and then they even said that, "Sir, in our country, women work hard. We are used to working hard. We have been doing agriculture during World War times and all. What are you talking? This is nothing." So depending on the culture and background, what you do as a goodwill gesture may be seen as something else. So many times, since people are just not used to dealing with girls, they may end up in situations which may not be liked by girls. Now, these kind of things do happen. Usually these are the problems. Other problems are that generally their peers, if they are going with their peers on some tour, etc., they have a tendency to abandon the girls. They actually carry them along like a baggage and then dump them at the earliest convenience so that they can have their own uninhibited fun. Because ladies are seen, I mean, people consider them as bosses informer sometimes, or as chugalkhor as they are called, that they would report everything to the boss or somewhere. And sometimes of course they are loud mouth, all right, so they have tendency to talk too much about too many things, which generally gents may not do. So that's a kind of I would say cultural baggage that we are carrying probably. Yeah, but that does cause some kind of discomfort, definitely. So these are some of the problems which I felt. Now people have to be careful uh, while talking to them, because if they talk for too long, others may suspect something. If they avoid them, then also people may suspect something. So generally people are not at ease while dealing with them. Okay. So these are some of the problems which girls might face. Not that these are very dramatic problems or they may throw them off, but then it is embarrassing, all right.
What are some problems faced by their selectors?
Now, what happens typically is that when companies go for campus interview, for example, and most of the companies nowadays want to wear it up the sleeve that they are equal opportunity providers. So when their teams go for campus selection, their HR teams and their expert teams, typically what happens in most colleges are that there would be 100 boys and just 5 girls who are in the fray. Now what the team will end up doing most probably is they will select 4 boys and 1 girl. Now if you see the proportions, now boys has every right to feel that injustice has been done to them because disproportionate number of girls have been selected. But company would like to select at least 1 female candidate to project an impression that we are equal opportunity provider. So that is one thing. Other problems that selectors do face is that some of the smaller companies, MSMEs for example, in their shop floor, even the toilets for gents may be pathetic. Now, if they have to select a female candidate, they have to build a ladies washroom, which is an expenditure of course, and I mean, so they have to consider whether they do it. And then there is some law that if there are more than 20 ladies, you have to have a creche or something. Now all those considerations lie behind their back, that shall we select or shall we not select. So that dilemma is always there. One side companies want to, we don't want to discriminate, certainly. I am not saying that today anybody willfully wants to discriminate, that doesn't happen. But there are considerations like this one, for example. Other things are that usually there is a certain image which has been typecast on females who go into industry, that mostly they will be in some offices, preferably in head office, in certain functions, maybe in HR or finance or places where they make presentation, places where they do public speaking, possibly. Certain kind of roles we associate with ladies. Others roles where coming in shift is involved, staying for long hours is involved, slogging is involved. Ladies are generally avoided. Now selectors have another considerations which they cannot say in so many words, is they fear that if they select a lady candidate, she might turn out to be a distraction for others, and she may in fact disturb the normal working and harmony on the shop floor, because people will get distracted towards them, and then that might become a safety issue also. In fact, there are cases where accidents have happened because of such things, because somebody while running the machine is looking somewhere else, and then the person suffers, meets with an accident. So now these kind of considerations are also there. So because of these considerations, selectors would rather not consider them for certain functions where ladies are not already there. Okay. Where there are already good number of ladies, probably those are the only roles where they may be considered. Mostly they are considered for table jobs, software kind of jobs, jobs where they are not traveling too much, they don't have to stay back for long hours, okay, and things which they are able to manage with their family life comfortably. Normally those are the considerations. Other consideration is for selector that if they select a lady candidate who is young, the fear is that company would invest a lot in developing her professionally, and then later she will get married and go. So they cannot realistically expect that the candidate is going to stay with them for long. So that may become another factor which may govern the decision eventually. Okay. So all these kind of considerations are there in front of selectors when they select lady candidate. But of course, nowadays the numbers are slightly improving. So we are seeing gradually more than a trickle of ladies coming to industries. So things are become a little easier as compared to before, as compared to what it was say 20 years back and 10 years back. Now things are certainly little better than that. Okay. And somehow also culturally by now girls as well as people around them have got a little more comfortable and used to dealing with ladies. So now these problems were more pronounced something like 20 years back and 10 years back, but now things have improved a lot, I would say.
And what are some problems faced by their superiors?
Now the problems faced by superior is how to talk to them, because they are used to talking to others in certain way, and often the bosses are known to be ruthless, and some of them are used to using cuss word and gali galoj and while talking with others. Now obviously they can't talk in the same way to ladies, so they become extra conscious in the sense that they will speak in a guarded way, in Queen's English, in a dignified way. Now that itself will be observed by others, and people will start criticizing that this person is extra soft with these ladies. So that is one thing. Now raising the voice is generally difficult because bosses do not know. If the girl starts crying, then people may not ask why, people may start drawing their own interpretations. So that will become little scandalous for the boss himself probably. So bosses are a little guarded, they cannot raise voice. If they talk too politely, again there is a problem. Rough they can't be. So how to behave with them becomes initially a problem. Second problem is where to place them. Normally when very few girls come to your organization, the bosses are scared of their safety and well-being. Something untoward, something embarrassment, some ugly incidents should not happen with them. With that, I mean genuine intent, they have a tendency to keep those girls close to their office and close to where they can be supervised and seen whether they are doing well or there is some problem. As a result, I mean bosses have tendency to keep the girls around them, which is criticized by others, and not just others, sometimes by their wives as well. So they may not like this thing to happen. So that may become an issue of where to place them, what kind of work to give them. If they give them, of course they can't give them very heavy physical work, some kind of work which involve a lot of traveling alone, etc. Now if they design the work for ladies, then again they are accused that they are being partial, and rightly so. I mean the male colleagues are justified in having that feeling, harboring that feeling that some undue favor is being given to them. Now if they get promoted faster, there is a problem. People start criticizing, but you can't do injustice either. If they are capable and if they have really done well, why they should deny them promotion? So all those kind of things go behind their back, that how to deal so that it's not taken otherwise Everybody considers it normal. Unfortunately, what is normal, that definition is hazy. So, bosses have that kind of a problem.
And what about the problems faced by their peers?
Now, same thing, either the peers will try to help initially. Now, basically it is like this, that when they come in an organization, I can compare that situation with somebody entering in an unreserved railway compartment. So, the peers initially try to give them an impression that this is not the place for you, there is no vacancy, you better quit. Okay. So, they give an impression that this is not the place for you, you have come at a wrong place. So, you should quit. And of course, peers have interest in projecting that, because they find that their privacy and their way of working gets affected because of presence of this person. Okay. So, they communicate that, but after a while when they realize that no, this person is going to stay here, then they start accommodating and then they start adjusting. But initially the reflex is somehow try to throw them out. So, initially that phase is there. Afterwards, now the peers may themselves offer them help on one hand, and on other hand they may criticize that lighter work is being given to them, or plum assignments are easily coming to them and not to us. Okay. Now, it is a double edged sword. So, both ways they are criticizing. Okay. And sometimes what happens that some of the peers start commenting on their attire, and sometimes the cases get aggravated to union also. The union leaders approach boss, and that is again the boss's problem, that suppose union leader comes to boss and reports that such and such lady is dressing in provocatively and not in alliance with Indian culture, etc., and blah blah blah. So, she should be cautioned, she should be pointed out that she should dress better because she is distracting others. Now, what the boss should say? Now, boss cannot say that no, I do not think she is capable of distracting anybody. That would not be that would be anything but a compliment. So, it may not be taken kindly. Okay. And the boss does not have strength enough to tell the girl that no, you do not dress up like that, because that girl may retort that you are MCP and you are old fashioned and all that. Okay. So, both ways it becomes a little tricky for that boss how to deal with such a situation, and such situations do happen. When simple things are there nowadays, it is common for ladies to wear leggings. Okay. Outside we do not even observe that they are wearing those things, but in factory some lady comes wearing legging, then there is a ruckus. People start pointing out, sir, what is this dress? People are distracted. Tell them to come in saris, tell them to come in some other dress. Now, such kind of problems also happen sometimes. Another kind of problems happen not with the peers, but with those associates who meet from them, who are from other companies and who sometimes meet the ladies, that they assume that the ladies are from certain functions. They do not expect them to be very great in knowledge of technology, etc., or expertise. That is another problem. Generally, there is a pre-bias in the people who meet with them, that no, they are not trusted for technical things, and they are for other softer things it is okay. For making presentation it is okay, but then for serious technology related talk, they are not the ones who should be spoken to. Now, that kind of pre-bias may be there sometimes. Yeah.
So what made you want to discuss this issue? You being someone who speaks a lot about the engineer's perspective, but you also being a man.
The immediate trigger is of course the Women's Day because we thought about women on Women's Day, and one thing which came to my mind was that yes, this lesser discussed topic should be broached to highlight some things which are not big enough, of course, to make it as a very big issue in magazines and news channels, etc. But still they are embarrassment enough for ladies and people around them. So to make the situation comfortable for them, we felt that if we discuss these things, probably people will realize what they are doing and what they are not doing and what they ought to be doing. Many times what happens that, okay, right now we have enumerated systematically all the issues. I don't think they will do it anytime, but they may feel the discomfort, all right. They may not be able to quite comprehend what is annoying them, okay. But then something will surely be making them uncomfortable. Now, if they hear this talk, probably they are able to place that these are the precise reasons, so they can be extra careful on that aspect. Now, but the real crux of the thing is they have to be their normal self and people around them have to be their normal self to eliminate these problems. These problems are there because people cease to become normal self once they come in front of ladies and once ladies come to a situation where there are very few of them. So they start behaving in a different kind of behavior pattern. No, good or bad, see all these problems which I have said, there are two factors. One is if there are very few ladies, then these problems will be there. If routinely ladies start coming, then these problems will vanish by themselves.
For example,
That
in
is
the
all.
IT industry,
For example, IT industry and many other places we don't see these.
nursing, and
Yeah,
many other
they are
fields.
majority. So no, you don't see these problems. Also, now these problems are initially there. But afterwards, as I said, when people get used to working with them, after a while their work starts speaking for them. Initially, it is more, the behavior pattern is governed by impressions and aspersions and all kind of assumptions and some kind of models which we carry with us, that okay, this is how things should be, some kind of stereotypes which we carry with us. But after a while, after some time, when we stabilize, when they stabilize in the job, then their work starts speaking for them. Now they have to have enough resilience to stay until that point in time. Now if they get dissuaded fast enough with the initial discomfort, then it's like you are trying to enter a railway compartment, seeing the crowd, you just go away, you don't board the train. But once
And
you
Sujata
have
ma'am
energy
is
to
a
board the
great
train
example.
and show that you are going to be there, then of course you will be accommodated and you will become comfortable also and friendly also.
And Sujata ma'am is a great example.
And Sujata madam has just said that's the way to be. And I am sure that's the way to be. Ultimately, what governs others' perception and degree of cooperation to you is your degree of passion with what you are pursuing. If you are passionate about your career, particular work, I am sure people will give you way and people will cooperate also, including family as well as peers as well as bosses. So it's a matter of whether you are coming to job as a pastime, as a fashion because everybody else is coming, so you have also come, or there is a serious passion behind your decision. Now, if it is a passionate decision, you can be sure that after a while people will realize it, they will see through it, and then they will start falling in place. Yeah. And after a while, then probably it will become difficult for you to quit that organization in that place because you get so used to that camaraderie that you get around you. Yeah. So that is the positive side. But of course, initially there are hiccups. Once somebody shows enough grit and determination, then things fall in place. So far, this talk may be rather depressing for female candidates, but in order to enthuse them, because we certainly want that more number of ladies should come, because root cause of problem is that there are so few ladies coming in these kind of functions. So we certainly want more number of ladies, equal number of ladies to come if possible. Right? So in order to enthuse them, we must give some success story. And one success story which we bring to you, of course for positive time we can bring only one. We have Mrs. Sujata Tilak with us and we hear from her about how she has reached where she has reached. She has done great in her career and her story is really inspiring. So I am sure if lady candidates follow what she is saying, they will do much better for themselves in their career. So we'll have a discussion with Sujata madam just now. Let me ask you something about your personal experience and a journey as a technocrat. Why did you choose this particular field and how you have arrived here?
I was born in Pune in a middle class Maharashtrian family. So my father is an engineer and he used to own a machine shop in Pune, in Bosri. So when I was growing up, I have seen machines and I have seen him work there and I have seen what he makes something and those kind of things. So I was interested in that. But more than that, my initial interests were in maths and science. I always loved maths. I mean, that was my most favorite subject when I was even in the primary school, like third, fourth grade. And then, of course, when the science started becoming more interesting, like physics and chemistry and all that, I used to like physics and maths were my favorite subjects. Since my father was an engineer, probably I wanted to be like him and wanted to go in the engineering stream. In my childhood, my parents were always very supportive, very progressive. My father used to say that, the studies is not everything. You have to have a all-round development. Maybe he was saying that because we were always getting good marks, but he used to say that studies is good, but you need to have, other things also. I used to do high jump in school. So I have participated in many inter-school competitions as well as district level competitions and so on. In this thing, we used to go for trekking a lot. I have been to Himalayas doing a high altitude trek and so on. And my father and mother also were very supportive of all that. So one thing which I would say my father and mother instilled in us is a confidence. That you are not less than anybody. So anything you do, be confident about it and be confident in your own abilities that you can do it. And I think that carried me through many things. That fundamental confidence and that faith which parents showed in us, that carried me through a lot of things. Because as I said, I went through a very unusual path, and to do that you need courage. I mean, going the same way as thousands of people are going is okay, but if you want to go a different route, you need the courage and you need conviction that what you are doing is right, and you should be ready to take the responsibility of your decisions and your actions, which I was ready to. Means, suppose I had not got any job, when I started looking for it, it would be completely my failure or my decision. But I was very confident that when I go for a job, I will get. So that confidence stems from what we got in the childhood. So I did the engineering from College of Engineering, Pune. I was the only girl student in my class of 40 students. And that really didn't bother me, and I had a good time. After graduating, I got married. My husband was in army. We moved to Pathankot. I enjoyed life for 2 years, and then eventually when we came back to Pune, I had a small daughter. And then I decided, okay, now let me think what I want to do. So I decided I will do freelance work. Everybody, including my father, was absolutely not happy. That he was like, if you do this, you will never get a job or you will never be able to work full time. I said, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And then I used to do freelance work. I used to work with Alpha Level. I used to work with R&D engineers, Dighi, and so on. What I ensured is that I was current with the technology. And since computers and software was a field which was coming up at that time, it was very convenient for me because you don't need a big setup and everything, just one computer and you can do. So I shifted to software. But my basic engineering was in instrumentation and control. So I shifted to software, but I found projects where my instrumentation and automation knowledge was utilized. And I did very good projects with alpha level on that area. And when my son was 7 years old, I decided, okay, now I want to do full time. And then I took my first job. I had 3 jobs in hand when I started looking, and I picked up the job with KPIT. And then when I started working in KPIT, because of my automation background and all that, then I was working on those kind of automation related software projects. Then I worked with KPIT for a few years, and then I got an opportunity to start a business of my own. So actually we started with a German company. They were into industrial automation, manufacturing controllers for plastic machines, and we became their captive software center in India, and we were doing development for them, and that continued for 3.5 years after we started. But then they had some problems in the business. Then we had to look for business ourselves. And then we started looking, and then we started working. We did a lot of software outsourcing work for companies in the US, UK, even Israel, in India as well, Germany, of course. And we did a lot of good, interesting work, developed both automation and non-automation, both kinds of work. Personally, I wanted to build something. So we started looking for what to build. And that time, since I was from the automation background, this remote monitoring and control was one area. We thought that this is something which has future. It will be a kind of a advanced technology which uses, network and all those things. The word Internet of Things wasn't coined till then. At least we didn't know about it. And so we built a remote monitoring and control software. Again, we were too much ahead of the time, so we didn't get much traction on that. We did a few projects. One of those projects we did with Honeywell. In a power plant in Rajasthan, NTPC plant in Rajasthan, that was for this pollution monitoring. They wanted to do it internally, the Anta plant. But then since there was not much traction, we continued the services that was going on. Then in 2013, this pollution control board, like I said, they had that policy and all that. And Force Marshall was looking for a product, because what pollution control board did, they asked every company which was selling these analyzers to set up a server and to put such a software and start giving data. Now, none of them had that. There were some foreign softwares like that, but Force Marshall was looking for a software, and they were trying to see if they can get it in India. And somehow we came to know about that, and we went and met them. We did a presentation, and when they saw what we had done in this NTPC plant, they said, yeah, so something like this is required. Of course, there are some new things. And we said, okay, we will do whatever is needed. And in the next 4 or 5 months, we upgraded that. So we kind of had put it in the freezer. We got it out because we had to do a lot of things. Technology keeps changing, right? It is not stagnant. But then we did some things, and we got the minimum product which was fulfilling the requirements out in about 3-4 months. And then from that time onwards, we never looked back, and we just continued. Our initial journey taught us 2 things. One is, nobody is interested in technology. Like when we used to go and show them, oh, this can do this, that, remote monitoring, all that. Okay, very good. But then what? What do I do with it? So that time we were trying to sell the generic platform. But when we realized what happened with this pollution monitoring thing, when we built a specific application of environmental monitoring on top of that platform, then people were interested and they wanted it. So then from that onward point, we decided, okay, we will build only applications and not go to anybody saying that I have this platform. So that was a big learning for us. Second thing, personally for me, when a lady goes to a manufacturing setup 10 years ago or whatever and starts talking, people initially don't believe. When I would go with one of my male colleagues, people would look at him and talk to him and not talk to me. But then through the work, and when they realize, okay, she knows all the technical stuff completely in and out and all that, afterwards they, of course, got it. So for a lady, the work has to speak. Otherwise, sometimes there is still a little bit of doubt or a little bit of different way of treating in the society. And it's not just here in India. I have a lot of friends in US, and because of my ISA work, I meet many professionals professional there also from industrial automation domain. So they also have a similar scenario, and it is good that it is changing. But yes, I have had those experiences. Now I'm very proud to say that now people do know me. They understand that yes, she is a technical or a technocrat. So it's fine. But you have to be patient and you have to work around that, or we have to work through that. So that is important. So this International Society of Automation, it's a professional organization working for the industrial automation. It's actually a standards body. So ISA has more than 150 standards which have been adopted by ISO, by IEC, by ANSI, and so on. So their current popular standard right now is the cyber security standard. So IEC 62443, you may have heard of that. That is a standard developed by ISA. And I have been working as a volunteer leader for ISA for last 10 years. I started here in the local Pune section and I was president of that section. Then I was the district vice president of the Asia Pacific district. So I was heading that for 2 years. I started a smart manufacturing and industrial IoT division in ISA. So it's a technical division dedicated to this field. So I started that in year 2020 and I was the first director for first 2 years of that division. And now I am on the global executive board of ISA. That is something which I'm passionate about and a little bit giving back to the profession to which I belong and mentoring students, talking to young professionals who are coming into this field and all these things we do. So that's.
Are you happy with your journey, or do you wish something else should have happened?
No, I'm really very happy. Always, looking back, you get lots of different ideas, but whatever has happened, I don't want to change anything. Okay. I'm very happy.
Madam, what is your spouse's role in your career development?
Arvind's role in my career has been really immense. He's very supportive from the time, or even before we got married, let me say this. We stayed apart for a few years and all that. After that also, when I started my career, he was supportive from the point of view of course, supporting me morally, but also taking care of the kids or helping in the household chores. Because when the kids are young, there are so many things to be done. He was perfect, I would say, in that sense. And afterwards, when I started the company, or initially, he was at that time still having a different career path. But he supported me when I started the company, helped me informally and so on. And afterwards, he joined. And once he joined the company, then of course, we have been working together. It's not easy for husband-wife team to work together, and be with each other 24 hours. And we have our arguments and all the spice in the relationship, but overall I think it has been very satisfying and very very rewarding, and whatever we have created together has been, I think, really good, and I have loved every moment of it, even the negatives, positives, everything. So I hope he has similar sentiments, and you can ask him later about it.
One thing I want to ask you, does the household infringe into the office and vice versa?
Earlier, no. But after COVID, we have started working from home mostly. Then house has become the office, then the things are a bit different. But earlier we used to not take office into home. That was our earlier
Discipline.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Now there is no difference really. So, but still, we try not to discuss office on weekends. After we stop working, close the laptop, then we don't. We try to do that. Not that we succeed all the time, but that's what we try to do, right?
Yeah. So, Arvindji, let me ask you that as a husband, how much do you think you had to compromise to meet her career aspirations?
I don't think I had to compromise at all. For two simple reasons: that I started my career in the Indian Army, and kind of we knew that when we got married that I would leave the armed forces, because armed forces has a lot of other ways to work, and Sujata would have had a little difficult time for there. So we had decided. I was a short service officer. So once I stepped out of army, we were very sure that we will come together, we'll do something together. Sujata is very technology oriented, very product focus and everything. But in business, you have to do many other things which are not just your product. business development, legal, process, and all that part. So, which I thought was my kind of a core competency, and of course, sales. And those are the functions I handled. She handled the technology part of it. So, we neither of her had to compromise in a way. We had to complement. Initially, there were some rough edges, as Sujata said, but over a period, we have kind of a agreed to work with agreeing, not agreeing, but work together. That's one important thing. As far as the compromise on the house side was concerned, there was no issue. And I really would like to point out the benefits of a joint family that Indian tradition and culture has. Because my parents were staying with us, we never had a problem as to who will look after the children. But that's a new thing which is in today's world. So some of the roots that Sanatan Dharma has, I think those are very valid even today. So no compromise, all good and all fun, and hopefully it continues.
Thanks, Arvindji. Sujata before we split, I would like to ask you one question which many girls are asked when they face interview. And the typical question which comes from corporate interviewers is that, look, we will take you, we will invest in you, we will train you. But after 2 years, what happens if you suddenly come and say, no, I'm getting married, I'm going with my husband to US? Now, what does the girl answer in such situations? What should they answer, according to you?
Well,
An advice to youngsters.
Yeah.
yeah, sure. So see, I have always believed in uh, balance between work and life, and this is a very overused term, I know, but still, in fact, I would say that in my case, I have given life a little bit higher priority than work. But that's my personal priority. Not everybody doesn't have to do that. But coming to your question, yes, unfortunately, still in our society, the girls most of the times have to follow their husbands wherever they are. It can happen. I mean, you don't know what you are going to get into till you get into that. So yes, for the corporates, the answer should be that yes, it is possible. But two things. One is remote work is now a possibility. So that is one possibility now. But if that is not possible, then while I am here in the company, I will give my 100% or more than 100% to the work, deliver with the quality, commitment, ownership, and all that. I think that is extremely important because boy or girl, career changes are inevitable, right? I mean, it's not that a boy, when he joins a company, will stay there for life. No, that he also may go away after 2 years, 3 years, or the girl also, not because of the marriage. Maybe she decides to pursue advanced studies and she goes abroad or somewhere else. So that's a part of life. But while you are there, you give your 100%. That is, I think, very important. And that corporate should be happy with that.
I think what you are saying is that the girls should tell that they will at least cross the next milestone with that corporate. Until then, there is assurance. After that, of course, there is no assurance for anybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thanks for.
Thank you. Thanks.
It was a pleasure interviewing both of you.
Our
Thanks.
pleasure, and thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So, with this, I take opportunity of wishing all the ladies a happy Women's Day, and we do want to see a lot more ladies in core technology areas because we admire their sincerity, the raw passion, and the dedication which they have. And I'm sure they are a lot more robust and resilient than what we imagine them to be.